Good evening and welcome everybody back to another episode of the Love Speak podcast, where our goal is to get love right. And tonight we will be talking about the cost of love. I'm your host, Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, always with the baddest of the baddies, Billy Badass Joe, and we are the
Hey,
Love Speak.
girl.
How you feeling, baby? How you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good tonight. I'm in a different setting. I've been ripping and running. I feel good, but I do feel tired. How about yourself?
Yeah, yeah, a little tired, a little tired. Thankful for the day as always, and been trying to weather this weather because when the temperature drop, I got some built-in mechanics now, so it's
Mm-hmm.
all good. It's all good though. But we gonna talk about the cost of love tonight. And if y'all new, make sure y'all go ahead and smash that like button. We really appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and get into tonight's topic, which is the cost of love. And we're going to bring up tonight's questions. So going right on over to the Love Speak Q&A. We have 5 questions tonight. And our first question is love free?
Mm.
Our second question of the evening, what are some ways that love can cost and why? Our third question, has modern society turned love into a financial transaction?
Hmm.
Fourth, is the cost of love higher for men or women in today's world?
Mm.
And our fifth and final, last but never least question, can love truly be unconditional, or are there always underlying costs?
Mm-hmm.
So we know what we want y'all to do. Let your love speak in the comment section and in the chat. And we're going to go ahead with Billy Badass Joe and get right into this first question. Is love free?
Love should be free. Now, if it genuinely is a different question, but I do feel like it should be free. And I feel like again, if you've been following us and y'all stick with us, that I feel like love is a word to describe a emotion that is invoked inside of us that makes us feel a certain way. So I feel like that can be done for free. I do feel like that. Um, but do I think it is free? Just comparing what we know and what's going on, I don't think it is free. What's your
Mm,
thoughts about it? What you how they do you feel like love is free?
yeah, I think love is free. I think, you could rent some vagina. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I think we can always pay for sex. We can
Mhm.
always pay for companionship. Spending time with somebody. We could pay somebody for their time, but I think that you can't pay nobody to love you.
Right. I agree with you.
So I think that love. I do think that love is free, because that's your choice. Like you was talking about that emotional connection. It's
Mhm.
like you have to develop that somehow with someone else. Like it's not like your family, like we talk, like you was talking about, like if they
Yeah.
watch this, it's not like your family with somebody come home and say, hey, this your cousin,
Right.
this your sister, this your brother, this your, you born, and these your aunts, your uncles, your parents and so forth. But definitely everybody else you meet in the street, you have to go through some things in order for that emotional thing to be there, to be considered love. Cause
Yeah.
cause shoot, even when you meeting somebody and you seeing somebody for the first time, like that's just lust. That ain't even love. They called it love at first sight, but that ain't. Nah, they just looking good to you. They look like you might give them a shot.
Yeah, I get where you coming from, but I want to like go to the other side of the bar with it and talk about like it don't even have, let's remove the sexual element from it or like the interest element. Like there could be somebody that might be your neighbor, right? And
Okay.
your neighbor might be like a older individual, and every time you come outside they on the porch and they speak to you, or like you might come home one day and like your around your gate might be cleaning up or tidied up or something like that. And over the course of, a couple months transactions or a couple years, you might end up saying, damn, I love my neighbor. Like I really love Mr. or Mrs. So and so, right? And it is nothing to do with, it's all platonic. But the fact is that yeah, they did a gesture for you that did something that was nice, but I don't consider that being boy. I feel like that's genuine. I feel like that's free love.
I
Like,
agree with that. I agree with that.
yeah.
But that's where I'm talking about those acts,
Mhm.
those acts.
Mhm.
And
You
that's what
right.
I'm saying. Like, it's just like when you meet somebody, no matter who, whether your intentions are intimate,
Mhm.
intimacy, or just
Platonic.
platonic. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
if it's just that, then there still are actions that have to build up to get you to that point, like you were saying, where you like, you know what, yeah, I love my neighbor, man, because
Mhm.
you loving the respect that they're giving you.
Right. Right.
You loving that the way that they showing you that they have concern for where we live, our community, how they
Right.
treat you, how they treat others, But it have to be reciprocal, because if it's not reciprocal, then you're gonna be like, I hate seeing the motherfuckers. Matter of fact, you
Right.
ain't even gonna look their way.
Right. Exactly. But I do think generally speaking that love should be for free, and that it's like, but my second statement is gonna go right into question two, so I don't even want to say it yet. But yeah, love
Nah,
should be free. Is it
love should be
always
free.
right? Is it always
Yeah,
free? No, because it do be costing people.
it does cost people. So let's
Yes.
go ahead and move on to second question number two.
So what are some ways that? Oh, sorry. Go
Nah,
ahead.
nah, you good, you good. So what are some ways that love can cost, and why?
Right.
And why, and why?
Man, love can cost you valuable things. Love can cost you your sanity. Love can cost you your freedom. Love can cost you some financial things, but even when we speak of the finances, I feel like that's the minor out of some of the other things that love can cost you. You can always get your money back, but you can't get your time back. You can't get your energy back. And sometimes people are put in situations, unfortunately, where they don't get their mind back, like they don't get their themselves. So I feel like an example of this may be some people who stay together because of the kids, right? And they love the fact that their family unit is something that they're expressing to their kids, or they did love their significant other at one point in time, but now it's greater of negativity between them than positivity, but they're going to stay in it because they want this example of love. They want this. They do love each other to some degree, but what it's costing them in the long run is years of happiness, years of like laughter. It can cause you. It could just change your. Have you ever worked at a job before that you don't want to be at, but it pays the bills? And then over and over a course of time, over a course of time, it breaks you down, right?
Yes,
You wake
yes.
up unhappy. You don't feel fulfilled when the day is over, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
That's essentially an analogy for love costing you. If staying in a situation where it's not serving you anymore, and you're continuing to entertain it. I mean, even for myself, I have lost. a great deal of things. I've lost a clean record, like a just a clean criminal record, you know, it, due to love. Personal decisions that I've made based in a situation that I love my partner. So I can't say nobody made me do anything, but if I ain't
Yeah.
love that person, I would have never been in that situation. And if I would have had better control over my emotions, I would have never been in that situation either.
I think that's more so it. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
more
yeah,
so
yeah.
it.
Yes, you're right.
I think that's more so it.
What do you think? What are your thoughts about love costing? Like,
I mean, I wanted to touch on some of them things you said, like sanity, like that was towards the end when you was sharing your criminal history with us.
yeah,
but but
costing
uh
freedom.
but that is, I always say, like, from being a person who has caught a charge to being in love,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right? I always say, like, now learning from that lesson, that it is me who has the ability of my sanity,
mm-hmm,
you know.
mm-hmm,
And you have to, and you have to be a lot more mindful of that when you're in these situations, because when we say, does it have a cost,
mm-hmm,
right? Well, that could have cost me my career. That could have
mm-hmm,
cost me my freedom. That could have
mm-hmm,
cost me my livelihood. That could have
mm-hmm,
cost me, just so much, my future,
mm-hmm.
my today, my now. So, so I definitely had to be mindful of situations like that, situations that are similar to it, situations that look like that, even if it isn't the same factors,
Mm-hmm.
where it's not me and a particular love interest the way that was, the relative to that situation. But you also said, like, finances. I had to pay a lot of money, to be able to keep my career, to be able to not go to prison, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
For real.
Yeah, because it wasn't jail with my situation, it was prison. So,
Right.
so I had to be able to have those finances available at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we say time. Time is the thing. You were saying time. Time is the thing that you just never get back. But
Mm-hmm.
time is the thing is that we learn the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
So if we pay attention to it, then we can say, okay, and then take accountability. Like when you said the part about, if I wasn't there and if they, but you took accountability for your own actions. And that's what we have to do. We have to be more responsible with our accountability, and saying, like, nah, you didn't make me do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was an interaction that we had, and I did respond. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
I responded. I chose to
Right.
do that,
Right.
you know? So I'm just taking accountability for mine. And I'm not, and if I could look at it and say that, you know what, I could have done something better, or I could
Mm-hmm.
have done something different,
Mm-hmm.
then that means that I've taken accountability and I don't agree with my actions,
Right.
you know? So I
Right.
don't agree with what it was going to cost me. So I want to self improve. I
Yep.
want to be better going
Mm-hmm.
forward. And I think if we put that, when we factor in these costs in the decisions that we make, then we don't allow other people and their whatever they going through, even if we with them and they going through something, we put ourselves where we, like, you know what, okay, I could respond like this, I could react like that, but I begin to think about tomorrow
Yes.
versus the moment,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Very much
And
how.
uh
Been.
and that's part of the why. The why is because if the other person is doing some wild shit, and then I end up doing some wild shit in response, then both of us could be jammed. Both of our tomorrows could be ruined,
Right.
you know? And it's not to be like, well, your tomorrow fucked up, but mine ain't. It's more so
Right.
like, well, if I love you,
I was about to say that.
then I can possibly be able to help you,
Yeah.
you know, and then we can find a path to better,
And
you
refrain from
know.
either one of our tomorrows being fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, even if you already went, even if the other person done already went too far, and it's
Yep.
just like, okay, well, you done did some fuck shit. All right,
Hmm.
well, you know what we'll do? You know, we just gonna
Not sugarcoat
we
it.
not turning the other cheek because we not giving you our other face side of our face to smack. You
Right.
know, but what we gonna do is we gonna just take a chill, take a time out, and we're gonna reflect and we're gonna look at all the things and even look at ourselves, because people say that. I know that people say that's a big excuse that people have when they say well, I wouldn't have did this if you wouldn't have did that, and they just ride on that right there
Yeah.
to not take accountability for their responses,
Right.
you know,
I,
or for their reactions.
right.
And I see more of that being socially accepted than accountability, saying like, damn, I could have thought about my reaction and said, you know what, at this moment right now, I'm not going to let you have that much control over me.
Right.
At this
Right.
moment right now, it is something that we got to work through, or maybe something you got to work through. That's
Hmm.
not even that I'm abandoning you. It's just that's some shit you dealing with
Hmm.
that ain't really me. But if I let my emotions pull me into it, now I'm in it,
And it could be me. Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I definitely think that there is a cost, you know, when we dealing with this thing.
Hmm.
And those are some of the ways, you know, but
Before we get too far away from it, too, also, I mean, I wanted to say in regards to what you just said, because it's piggybacking off of it, like a lot of women, again, I know I said about sanity and about just losing yourself, period. But no, that's like a real thing. Like, there's like a level that some people reach that they pour onto their partner or whoever it is, their partner, their friend, their lover, their child, the whoever, their parent, and they're wondering why they seem to not be able to get it reciprocated. And instead of being able to understand that it's not a them thing, they end up losing themselves on trying to get the other person to understand. You get what I'm saying? Their perspective or their view whole time you're in a losing battle because it's never in that person's interest anyways to even consider your standpoint or your take. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, that's why, for example, I think it'd be better if I say it like this. Y'all ever like heard of a girl that has been in a relationship with a man for years, and then finally he leaves her for whatever reason? After all them years, he didn't dogged her, got her pregnant, or married her, and mentally, emotionally abused her, and then one day he just leaves. And you would think that she would be relieved or that she would be able to turn over a new leaf, but she spends so much of her time trying to understand why she just could not get him to love her properly, or vice versa, a woman and a man and a woman. But it's like literally losing themselves, and then they don't end up in a successful, happy relationship in the future again. That's like literally losing yourself.
yeah, I mean, but that's where people don't heal. I think that I think everybody's subjected to that. If you really, if you find yourself in love, like I'll share a story with you. Like when I was my high school sweetheart, when she went to college, we moved and we went to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And Atlanta was very rough for us during that time. The way we were living down there. So it was an experience for me. So I wasn't the guy that I usually was being where we moved from. You know,
Right.
I had resources, I had access to stuff, when we got to the A, shouty, like I
Right.
was down bad, like I had two pair of shoes,
Hmm.
and I'm saying that like two pair of shoes ain't enough, but I'm
But
like, I
yeah,
got,
coming from a nigga that had flavors, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
where I'm
yeah.
switching it up all the time, and
Hmm.
I can go shopping when I feel like it, and go, get money, bust moves whenever I need to, do what I need to do and stuff. So I had a girlfriend, my little high school sweetheart. She had went off to college. So later on, I found out that her mom didn't like me because one of my aunt's best friends was sleeping with her mother's husband.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I didn't know that then, because it wasn't my business to know. I
Right.
was young,
Right.
but I didn't realize why her mom didn't like me. But I was looking at it like, oh, her mama didn't want to come to a wedding, and possibly,
Be surrounded by, yeah.
yeah, like, like that'd be crazy. So,
Hmm.
so what happened is that when we finally got like close back together, she had revealed to me that, she had been in college turning up. So I was like, damn. And I looked at it like, and this was in hindsight. During that time, I was just like, oh nah, I ain't fucking with you, because I can't trust you no more. Like, and I was really going through a lot of stuff. Like I ain't had no girl. I wouldn't even think about no girls down there.
Right.
Like all I was thinking about was making sure we had something to eat.
Something to eat, exactly. Yeah.
And we had we had, we had our necessities: food, clothing, and shelter.
Yep.
So when she told me that, I automatically looked at that like a betrayal. Like, nah, like that's messed up. But later on, I learned that that wasn't me. That was part of her journey and her experience.
Hmm.
That was part of what she was supposed to be going through in her life. And the part that was where I realized like that she did love me is because she was honest with me about it.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and if she didn't really love me, then she wouldn't have wanted. Because when she told me that she wanted to clear the air, when she was telling me, she was just like, "Look, I know it's been some things, blah blah blah, but I want to be straight up with you and be honest with you and clear the air so we can move forward." But at that time, I ain't understand that. I wasn't mature enough to know what being honest was about, clearing the air, moving forward.
You ain't know she was trying to get love right at that time.
I ain't know she was trying to get love right, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where I be like, hey, some ways that love can cost, when you are immature
Yeah.
and you don't know really how to interpret things, you don't have enough
Hmm.
experience, and and it
Hmm.
cost you, you know, you never know. Like, I mean, I'm fine. I love my wife today, you know,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
but when you look at those experiences, it's like, man, like,
Would
who
be.
knows, had I been mature enough,
Hmm.
I may have been one of them people to be like, I've been with my high school sweetheart for all this time,
Yeah.
you know?
Possibly, but yeah.
And that's how, like, not that I miss some shit. Nah, I ain't missing that,
Nah.
you know?
Yeah.
But just now, just understanding, like, her telling me that, her becoming clean with me, letting me know what she had going on, you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
appreciate that honesty, you
Appreciate
know?
it.
I appreciate the honesty, but it also costed our relationship because I was like, I can't trust you now. And
Yeah.
that's a
And the
wild
whole time you could
situation.
have been able to trust her.
Whole time I
Right.
could have been able to trust her because now she's wanting to be honest,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
And let me tell you something about being
yeah.
friends and being honest or being lovers and being honest. I mean, being honest, period. It don't matter what the relationship is, whether it's your coworker, whether it's your child, whether it's your significant other, whether it is like being honest is just so hard sometimes for individuals because they know that a follow up behind that is probably hurting somebody's feelings, right? But like
Yeah.
you just said, if you love me, like I just went through this walk down with my god brother not too long ago about a personal subject, and every time I opened up a statement on the subject, I kept saying as the opener, I love you. And I know this subject is sensitive or this topic is hard, but I'm going to be the one to say it to your face and not behind your back because I love you, you know? And it was just like, no matter how many times I said that first, when I had to follow up and say my statement, it still stung coming out of my own mouth. So I know it stung falling on his ears, you know. But now that we are all the big ages that we are, I think that he's very much able to receive the message and not focus on the painful delivery, but on the bigger message. But that's because, again, when you're platonic with people, majority of the time it tends to leave like the roadway less messy, but the truth still hurts regardless of the relationship or the kinship.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we in a society now where people love to lie more than the truth anyway. People would rather
Mm-hmm.
be lied to for the sake of hurting their feelings, you
Mm-hmm.
know, for the sake of not having their feelings hurt. And I call it not having to be accountable. You know, it is for the sake of not having their feelings hurt, but it's for the sake of not having to be accountable. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you get the truth, now that's what you're dealing with. You know,
Right.
it's no more wondering, it's no more fantasy. It's like that's really it. And it's wonderful when the truths are, you know, like if you hit the lottery, you want that truth.
Yeah.
You know,
The
if some
pleasurable truths.
yeah, like if somebody put some money in a car and be like, here you go, you want that truth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the other things where it's like, oh no, you're gonna have to get up and go get that. You're gonna have to go do something for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a truth a person want. They
Right.
don't they don't prefer that one.
Right. I agree with you.
So yeah. So love can cause in many different ways, and that's some of the reasons why. Moving on to our third question: has modern society turned love into a financial transaction?
Mm, mm, mm. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna answer the question straight up and say, sure, yeah, modern society has turned love into a financial transaction. But guess what? Modern society is always the one that is determining what love or life or relationship is supposed to be looking like. Before we were born, it was to be that women were having children at 12, 13, and 14 years old, you know, and being in the house made to be pregnant and barefooted at the stove. Then things went on.
Nah, nah,
Yes. Then
nah.
things went on. And society made it okay for women to have rights and to work and to support themselves. Okay. And then society was the one that determined, you know, how this should look or that should look. So I think what's going on right now is a society imposed situation. I think it's up to the individuals to get with their partner and decide what looks best for their household, opposed to be worrying about what society thinks you need to be measuring up to and then taking what you got going on and seeing if you fall short or compare. So, yes, society is making it very transactional. And it's easy for society to do that because, in all honesty, the cost of living out here is expensive these days. I will say this, it's 101 ways to get some money now, but that don't mean that everybody has the ability to access it. So society, cost of living is hard, and society is matching up their agenda with what the cost of living is going on. Do you agree with that statement? Can you see where, even if you don't agree with it, can you see where I'm correlating the two together?
A
What you
little
mean
bit.
though? It's people in relationships that be
Oh
communicating, but
no,
they can't
oh
afford.
no,
They can't
Billy
afford to get
Badass
out of
Joe.
it.
I don't know about that shit. Nah,
Man, I know a
nah.
couple unmarried, unhappily married people that's not leaving because they don't want two separate rents or mortgages, and they got three kids between them. And then the guy like, and then when I break up with my wife, how am I afford a girlfriend with these kids and this new, like they cheaper to keep her thing.
Well, okay, so like in those situations, I get that. Um, I get people looking at their responsibilities and they saying, we have to make a plan because we are responsible for these little human beings,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And me not having babies, I always looked at it like if I did have babies, I want them to have more opportunities than I had,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So
Mm-hmm.
that would ultimately encompass, in my opinion, a better life than I have,
Right. Right.
but I want to provide that for them.
But does better
Okay.
life mean two parents together in the same house that hate each other?
Okay. So with me, I would not do that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because like that's why I don't have no baby mamas,
Right.
you know, because I could have had I had dated young ladies, that I probably could have made a baby with or whatever.
Right.
But I'm one of them people that's like, soon as I really see something that is like, nah, that's not gonna be no mommy. That's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be no mommy material right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm curving you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting out of there quick
Yeah.
because I know, like I had a young lady tell me like I'm gonna trap you. I'm like, no, you're not, because I'm
Word.
strapping. So I'm strapping up. So like, so I'm not, because you told me that.
Yeah.
Like now I'm not even going. Now I don't even really want to be intimate with you because you told me that. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, like I don't care if you joking or I'm not flattered by that type of shit.
No. Yeah.
You
You
know,
scare me. You scare me, girl.
right?
Yeah.
So if how I look at it is like most of the time people not planning it.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's so easy, we do the easy part first.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The easy part is I like how you smell, I like how you looking,
And
you
then we
know,
hunching.
and then we hunch and boom, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's, to me, that's the easy part. It's easy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But the difficult part is to find out what's on a person's mind, find out what do they want, what are they goals, because hunching just for pleasure can lead to a whole responsibility for life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what seems to not be, reiterated enough
Mm-hmm.
culturally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like when the song say my booty hold this and my coochie hold this, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
when we understand, like, yeah, free, it's your body, do what you want to
Mm-hmm.
do with it, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also responsibilities that come with that.
Exactly.
And I can I can look at how I could look at how I grew up and be like, you know what, I survived, I made it. So if we struggled a little bit, ain't no problem. But I'm like, then that is contradictory and hypocritical of saying I want my child to have better.
Yeah. Why you feel like it's contradictory or hypocritical? If you,
Because I
why do you
want my
feel like?
child to because I want my child to have better. So why don't I think about trying to put these things in place before I put myself in a position to have the child?
Oh yes, 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 yes. I agree with that statement. Sorry, I was following you incorrectly, but yes, I agree with that.
Right. And I'm saying if
Um.
I'm a person that professes that if I have a child, I want them to have better. But then I take a mindset of, but I
Okay.
haven't put myself in that place yet. I
Okay.
haven't
And that's the
secured,
contradictory part.
right. I haven't secured food, clothing, and shelter that I know I can take it, that I can provide for myself and more than I need for me to be
Yes.
able to sustain another human life.
Yes. I
You
agree.
know?
Yep.
So like if I don't do that, then what I'm saying is like I don't care about that. I just
Right.
figure it out as I go.
Oh, like a lot of
So
people
then
do.
that's going to be a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm saying I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a struggle, you know, moms did that. I don't have to go. I shouldn't have to go through that.
Right. Yep. And you shouldn't have to put your baby through that once you know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's no longer about me. It's about the child. It's about the
Yeah.
child not having trying to allow the child to have a better experience than I did. And it's not saying that my experience was bad. It's just saying that I'm mature and I understand that if it was certain things that I didn't have to focus on,
Mm-hmm.
that some opportunities would be more accessible. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like it's a difference when you say, I want to play an instrument and I want to play sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to play an instrument and you want to play sports, like they cost,
Right. Right.
right? But if you come home and your parent says, well, we can only afford for you to do one, so pick one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, if I say, dang, well, if I look at it, step outside of it, step outside the box, and I look at as I get older. So let's say I get to college, and I get to college, and I get to college on this sports thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I see it's other people that, and I'm not so academic, but I got this sports thing. But then I see it's other people there who got like 3, 4 different scholarships because they got a music one, they got a music partial, they got a sports partial, they got a
Mm-hmm.
academic partial, they got a okay.
Like
So
you had to
then
pick one.
I had to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
were able to their parents a lot were able to be
Mm-hmm.
able to provide them with the ability to cultivate more than
Mm-hmm.
one area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Opportunity.
they
Mm-hmm.
have more opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's not negative. That's not knocking my mom for making sure that I had what I needed to be in that.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
But yeah.
But if I want to do better, because
Exactly.
if you should want your children to have more than you had. You should want
Mm-hmm.
them, you should desire for them to be better than you.
I
You
agree.
know,
I
like
agree.
yeah, because they gonna end up taking care of you, so you want them to have some shit.
Yeah, they suppose. I mean, that's the way the cycle's supposed to go. If you do anything right, they're supposed to. Well, if you fortunate enough, they will come take care of you. But one of the things I'm sitting here thinking about in my mind is just the question itself: is society making love a transactional thing? You know, now that I think about it, it's been like that for a while because marriage is a contract, a significant other, can they put their signature on paperwork in correlation to you being responsible for you as a party in the situation? So it's like, hasn't it always been almost about a not a monetary thing, but it's
A
always been about
financial transaction. I don't think
yes.
so. I don't think it was that
Okay,
because
how was all right? Yeah, let me hear what your
I don't think it
understanding.
was. I don't think it was that. What I think is, there was certain people, black people specifically in America, who weren't even allowed to get married at one point in time. That was
Mm-hmm,
law. Okay,
mm-hmm,
so when you look at the marital contract, yes, the marital contract does take the union of the two people, the two parties, and pair it with the state.
mm-hmm,
That's the reason why when people go through a divorce, they have to do what the state says.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
So this is a normal thing. All right. However, when you look at um when you look at if a person says, let's just be domestic partners, okay, then there's nothing that you can't do,
Right.
together. Like if you want to be the beneficiary on my insurance policy, I can
Yeah.
make you a beneficiary on my insurance policy. If I want to make you add you as a card member to one of my accounts, if I want to put you on my bank account as a authorized user, if I want to do the like all of these things, if I want to add you as my point of contact, as my beneficiary
I
to,
can't you put on your health insurance too at that point?
you could put somebody on your health insurance too. I mean, you just
Hmm.
paying for it. That's it. You just
Right.
got to pay for it.
Yeah.
So any of these things that you desire to do, you can do these things without a marriage certificate, except
Mm-hmm.
for like if you're in the military, you got to have a marriage certificate in order for you to claim somebody
Mm-hmm.
as a dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have
Yeah.
to have these things, but you don't have to have that for your child. You know,
Right.
you
Right.
just got to sign a birth certificate and that's it.
Right.
You know, so unless you choose to get married, then you choosing to get married. But the thing is like the financial transaction aspect of it is where going back to the courts again is where like when they say, okay, you have to do this, so you have to get counseling. Is that provided? No, you got to pay for it. All right. Do
Mm-hmm.
you have to do all these different things on your
Mm-hmm.
way out? If you two collectively agree that it ain't working out no more and you want to go your separate ways, this is where more finances have to be dispersed in order for you to, go on your separate ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Prior to this, it wasn't really a thing like that because people actually, we had more religion.
Mm-hmm.
So when people said, till death do us part and sickness and health for better or worse, they meant it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we don't see, it's so rare now, like even in my age group, to see somebody married for 30 years.
30 years.
That mean they've been together for, at least since they was 18,
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
And we just don't see that. It is rare in our age group. We saw it with, our elders and stuff like that, a great
Mm-hmm.
grandmama or grandmama or granddaddy or something like that. We seen that with those type of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't see that amongst our age anymore.
Mm-mm.
So I think that modern society is killing the idea of just being together and working shit out and learning each other and
Mm-hmm.
being tolerable and having patience
Mm-hmm.
and learning to communicate. It's
Yep.
so easy to quit.
Yep.
It's just so easy to quit. I'm tired of it. I'm done with it. I don't want to be around. You know, I think that modern culture, modern society is making it easier to do that. And then there's just a financial toll that you have to pay,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be the divorce and we saw the thing with the girl, what was her name? Erica Mina or something like that, when she got
Basically,
divorced.
I'm not
And
sure.
they read her, she was on the phone with the attorney and the attorney was like, yeah, you divorced. And she was like, yeah, and how much I'm getting? And they was like, nothing. He got to pay you $500, but they your
Oh.
kids. They not even his. You know. So the maternity test was like they not even his kids, so he don't have to pay for them. And she was like, I don't get nothing. I gotta take care of my kids on my own. Blah blah blah. And the attorney was like, yeah, you a boss bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
you don't need a man
Right.
for nothing, right? Like they your kids anyway, so take care of them.
See, this is where before we get too far away from it, I like to come in and I like to like just toy with the idea because you said, modern society, basically is the one breaking the image of unity down as far as, getting to stay with your person, having patience, learning your person and problem solving and working through it. So sometimes I go back and forth in my own mind, not that there's a right or wrong, but we only are in this room one time before we go to whoever's personal beliefs or whatever is next for your soul, body, or vessel. And I feel like while we're in this room, sometimes I don't want to judge when people want to pick up and keep it moving and have multiple experiences, not necessarily at one time, but just like, oh, okay, this ain't working with this person, I ain't about to try to force it, and they just not up and leave, but they up and start something else for themselves. I go back and forth with myself about that all the time, because it's like I kind of get it. You're only going to be here one time, so why put so much energy into something that is not pouring back into you, is draining you? But then the mature part, or the I don't even know the word for the part of me, kicks in that says like, damn, if you just always up and leaving a situation, how are you ever problem solving, right? Which then brings me to the analogy of the way that the world is today. Do you know, down to smartphones, these kids don't know how to go into a dictionary and start problem solving by looking up the first letter of the word, then the second letter of the word, then finding the spelling of the word and the definition. They don't
Yeah.
remember when we were younger, we used to obtain or retain at least 15 different combinations of phone numbers in our head.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that we used to be able to get to a place with looking at a map, or even if you had were fortunate enough to get MapQuest and print it out, and you still had to apply the knowledge of the piece of paper in your hand to the road signs. It wasn't pictures or drawing lines that was taking you there. So
Facts.
just like smartphones, in my opinion, are dumbing people down, I feel like what they're trying to do to the world, their agenda is to dumb them down as well, even when it comes to relationships, to break the mold of unity. Because if there was unity, it's harder to penetrate and pierce through that. And all we would do is become stronger. So I feel like that is definitely put out there for independency. You could do it on your own, or
Yeah.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah. The
or
songs, everybody love them. All the women,
yeah,
independent.
exactly.
You know, she, INDEPEND.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She got her own car. She got her
Yeah,
own crib.
yeah.
Yeah.
Two
I
jobs
mean,
for her
so
car. She a bad bitch. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like,
But
but in the same.
you have to have buy-in though. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like and you have to have buy-in. You have to have women who say, you know what, I like that, I want to be that, and then they go and be that, and that's who they
Yeah,
become, and then they take on that spirit and they take on that energy, and then that's how they vibrating. So like you
yeah,
were saying, where the experiences in life, yeah, that's cool, but one thing we have to do though is one of the things is going back to accountability. Am I a bad picker? You
right,
know,
right,
do I
right, right.
pick bad, or is that what I really like because I'm attracting what I like?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. So these are the accountability things where it's like, where if I want something different, then I got to do something different. So like if I'm meeting for me in the type of relationship I will be in, because it's all types of relationships, genders and everything today. So we respect all that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
For me, I'm a heterosexual male. So if I go out and I'm looking for young ladies, right, then if I go to the bar and that's where I'm going to go meet women at all the time, then I got to expect that that's what I'm getting.
right.
You
Yeah,
know, if I
yeah,
go to the club
yeah,
and I'm looking for women at the club, then I got to expect that that's what I'm getting. You
yeah,
know, I can't go there and then be like, oh, I met this girl at the club who's there every single weekend.
yeah. Right,
You
right.
and it didn't work out because I wanted to, when I wanted to stop going to the club, she like, oh no, that's what the fuck I do.
Weekend,
You
yeah.
know, like it's time to turn up. Now she ain't interested in me because it ain't about going to the club, popping bottles and all that. That's what she like.
Right.
So that's where I'm talking about. Like people gotta look at themselves and be like, okay, if I'm going to these places and this what I'm picking.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay. If I'm going to these places and this what I'm getting involved in, then what am I trying to do? Because
mm-hmm.
I could go and I could be in there and then I could have one night and I could slip up and have a responsibility. for the
Right.
rest of my life.
Mm,
It's that simple, you know?
mm,
So then now I got to take responsibility. I got to take accountability. And what I be saying is like, look, if you know that already going in, then you will protect yourself going in.
mm,
And you won't kid yourself. You will know what you going there for. I'm just going in here to meet little club girls that's ready to hook up for the night. They just having fun, and that's how I'm gonna carry it. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? If I smash and then jump off because I'm in it for one night, or if only for one night, then
mm.
that's what I'm there for. That's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for.
Yep.
You know, I'm not going in here looking to let my dick make a dummy out me. And now I
Mm-hmm.
got a whole life that I gotta take care of. And now I'm dealing with somebody I don't even know. For
You don't
real.
even know, but
And then when I
people who
started to
know
get to
her, they
know
be
them,
like,
I
yeah,
realized like
hold
I
your
don't
beer.
even like this. I don't
Yeah.
even like this chick and I done got her pregnant. For real.
Yeah.
And now I gotta deal with it because I'ma feel like my child ain't an accident, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, I'm with you on
So
that.
so nobody wants to feel like their child is an accident, right? They like that's
Mm.
ordained by God. Like that's it could have been anybody.
Right.
Especially if you done did it more than once before and ain't nobody got pregnant, but then this time this person just happened to get pregnant, right?
It's
So
God talking to you.
yeah, so you know, so I'm like, I don't want to put. The thing is that we can possibly not put ourselves in these situations
Mm-hmm.
because of these modern environments and
Mm-hmm.
these modern cultures that we trying to go and fit in and be the cool and be cool in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with thinking for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
saying what do I truly desire, you
Yep.
know, and even I could still have these experiences and date, you know, but that don't mean I gotta be dating and screwing.
Yeah. And it's even more interesting when you have a partnership or a situation or a relationship where one person is very aware of, like you just said, like the possibilities of the outcome or the 5 or 10 minutes of a good time that may, stand into a lifetime of responsibilities or situations. And I have been in a relationship at a period in life in one point in time, and I remember myself and a significant other finding out we were in just two different headspaces, and the way that we found out was via like um making adult decisions to be intimate, and then making the decision like, hey, you know what, when it's time to finish up, there's a certain route that we need to take because we don't need no accidents happening. And then it's like a aha moment, like, what you mean an accident? Like, if you get pregnant, that would be an accident? And then it's more like a yes, because I know what I want for myself, and I would like to take the proper measures to prevent that from happening, because I don't even want it to be a scenario, because I'm aware of what I want for myself. I know what's going on. And with me saying that in the same breath, I obviously didn't think this person was that at the moment because I was making a personal decision, but I seen the potential in them. So that's the reason why I was even still engaging and interacting. I just needed a little bit more of a track record behind us before I made such a permanent decision. And the way that things were going in the moment for them, they were just so impressed and intrigued with the way that, they could have seen life being for us, that why stop anything that could be good for, but like you said, you gotta look at the whole entire scenario.
Yeah, you have to. And
Mm-hmm.
and just to echo what you was just saying before we go on to the next question, ain't nothing wrong with the screwing. Just screw safely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, think about put yourself first. Think about
Yep.
that. Like what you were saying, like I know what I want for me and in my future. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't see if you don't see yourself being a parent in 2, 3, 4 years, then why you screwing raw?
Why are you screwing raw?
You know?
Right. And it's a
Like
baby, and it's talking about, and like you just said, you hit it on the head. I'm glad you did. If you don't see yourself being a parent, because it ain't even about if you don't see yourself with this person in a couple years, because once the responsibility gets here, it's not even guaranteed y'all gonna be together. Like you said, are
you don't know.
you? Yeah,
Yeah,
you don't know.
you.
Are
because it's on you first, and it's
on you
and that
first.
and both people have both people have to take that into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
Both hitters, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
both
Yeah.
hitters got to take that into consideration. Like if you don't see yourself being a parent, you
Yeah.
know, because you're gonna be that regardless whether you're gonna be a husband and wife or whether you're gonna
Right.
be you know, it just take one child for you to be a parent.
Yep. Yep. And I hear people always say, daddy's maybe mama's baby, but I done seen plenty of men out here being single fathers too because they didn't know the woman that they was laying down with and how it was going to end up when they got up. And and then they end up being parents. That's a lifetime situation. And that girl is momentarily that was momentarily is gone and they stuck with their baby, you know?
Yeah,
So it goes down on both ends. It just so happens that society always wants to paint it like women are the only ones getting stuck with situations like that. But it's plenty of BS women out here as well, creating situations like that for men too. So,
absolutely,
mhm.
absolutely. So that's perfect segue right there. Is the cost of love higher for men or women in today's world? You know, is the cost of love higher for men or women in today's world? What you think? I think it's higher for men. I do. I think it's higher for men because because the guys, all of the guys when they you're gonna get hit with child support, you're gonna get hit with the responsibility. And even though the courts, even though we see the court system a lot of times favor the mothers, that's where I ultimately see it as the cost is, gets a lot more, becomes a lot more overbearing because the guy has to always adjust, has to always figure out, how things are going to be moving forward. When we talk about the modern dating scene and how all of these guys out here now, because I heard this tricking is a sport now. So even at that, it's a cost. It's a cost where you can't get the baddest of the bad one if you don't got the bag. You can't get access to this one or that one if you don't have this going on or you don't have that going on. Um, and then being emotionally scarred, I think that's a cost for women dealing with different men, having to deal with different men and having emotional scars. I'm just talking about the cost, and really just being traumatized, not really knowing, if you in love or not, or who or how to love, or if it's genuine, not knowing how to heal. I think both men and women, or however gender neutral, think all human beings out here in this thing trying to find love. I think that everybody needs to be able to know how to heal, be accountable, and learn from things before moving on to the next situation. So I
Yes,
think
sir.
those so I think those costs are equal across the board for everybody. But when we look at, like, nitpicking some things, I do think that guys have, guys, you have to have this or you have to have that. You can't, if you don't got the drip, if you don't got the bag, if you don't, then there's certain ones be, you're not gonna be able to
Approaching.
entertain. Yeah, they're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
entertain you. So that's a cost.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke about when in the court systems, like, you get caught up, you have a child, you got the child support things, you have all of those things that can be held against you, to be made to be responsible for your child. If you somebody who, a deadbeat, a bum who don't want to take, accountability and responsibility for, the nut that came outside of you first before you put it in a woman.
Right.
So, I think that there is a cost to that, and you should be aware of that. I think, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, I don't get why just being irresponsible is cool. I don't get that shit.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
agree with you. I agree with you 110%. I'll add this and say too, I lost, sorry, my phone died. I lost out, but I can imagine where we left off at and what the follow up question was. So I know what you were putting down and I'm picking it up. And
Now we right here. We right here at the is the cost of love higher for men
for
or women?
men, yeah, I could just tell by listening to the context what question we were on. But I wanted to say that first, let me put a disclaimer on it and say that I am like pro woman. I am like so when I'm like I don't want to use the term girls, but I'm like one of those women that feel like that like we can do everything too just because we're female like doesn't mean that we're obsolete from being able to attack anything. However, with that being said, I still want to get in tune with my divine femininity, and I want to say that I think from years ago what I was exposed to and what was idealistic for society, I think that now currently men are definitely more at a risk of um what was the tail end of the question of being put the question back up for me please. That men are in more of a higher cost for men than women today, because I just think in general that the agenda of the world is to break down the man's role per se, or the masculinity associated with the male sex. So I could get way deeper in how I feel about this, but with me being a woman power rights, like woman hear us roar, I do think that I would be ignorant to say that as of right now, I feel like men are paying a higher cost in today's world for love versus what they used to like and I'm not speaking on my personal feelings about the synopsis I've made up. I'm more so just saying like that's what I noticed. I'm a woman, why would I be mad about this position that we're in? But in the same breath, I'm very aware of it, and as a strong woman I still want a masculine man. So I don't want all the men in the world to be at risk, for something that we all should fairly be able to experience love. You get what I'm saying? Like that's how I feel.
Ain't
Um
nothing, ain't nothing wrong with that. Divine femininity. I like that.
yeah, I'm working on it.
I like that too. And and that comes from, like, I always say that a woman can be divine in her femininity, and it has nothing to do with material things. It is
Right.
always within the context and content of her character as a woman, that she carry herself like a woman with poise, that she carry herself like a woman with her emotions. Do she have her emotions in check? You
Mm-hmm.
know, or is she's a ratchet biatch? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and these are these things, that I think that make up that divine feminine, and being mindful of it, that she hold herself accountable,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
that she have humility, not humbleness, like I always challenge everybody to go look up the word, look up the definition. Do not
Mm-hmm.
ask Siri or Alexa what the word
Right.
humble means.
Uh-huh.
Go to the dictionary and look up the definition of the word humble,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then go look up the definition of the word humility, all
Mm-hmm.
right? There is a difference. There's a contextual difference, and they are not the same thing. And I never recommend that people are humble,
Humble.
but
I
I
knew
do,
you.
but I do recommend that you have humility. Now you can be humble to God. That's fine. That's your
Yeah.
God. That's your maker, but not to another human being.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But having humility,
Yeah.
is a characteristic trait that a lot of people don't have. People don't know how to apologize sincerely.
Mm-hmm.
People don't
Mm-hmm.
have remorse,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
compassion, consideration, these type of things. And those things like that, to me, are complementary to the divine feminine, principles of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
because we have to both work together on certain things. And
Mm-hmm.
and having that humility is one of those things that lets you know that, like, yeah, we gonna have stuff to work on,
Right.
because we always learning. Like, once you stop learning, you pretty much die.
That right, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. I'm
So
with you on
that
that.
is, so I think that those are equally shared costs.
Mm-hmm.
If, in today's world, yesterday's world, tomorrow's world, and if we don't find some way to make those things become valuable again
Mm-hmm.
within connections,
Mm-hmm.
then we just gonna continue seeing it's just gonna get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And the more people that are married, that are going to become anomalies,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
because it'll be like, marriage, like, that's such an ancient thing. I remember people used to do that back in the day. Why would anybody do that now? You can just get you a robot or some shit.
For real. I get not upset isn't really the word, but like kind of like bewildered. What is the word? Like it's like astounding to me that one of these days that somebody's gonna go into their grandmother house, right? And it's probably gonna be like all these different grandkids there that's not from like the family per se. And there's going to be no photo albums is what I'm trying to say. There's going to be no history of where somebody came from eventually, because for one, there isn't going to be, like we just said, unity with households and raisings. They're going to be like a whole bunch of single people having interactions in life and producing children, and then those children that didn't get the example or the experience of unity with being someone with someone, it's already going to be a foreign concept to them because they were born into a individualist world, and then they're going to continue the cycle, and then technology goes and goes. But look at what we got right now. We got a phone that holds all of our photos. Some people in the family have that matriarch that prints out those photos. But for someone like myself, if I lose this phone, like I have before, iCloud and all of that, you end up losing the photos and the memories. And if we done lost the phone once or twice within the last 10 years, how many times you think you're gonna lose it before you turn 80? Like what it
I
like
don't know. You gotta stop losing your phone.
that's the easy fix for that. But that's the easy fix for that. But what's unfortunate is no matter how many times I stop losing my phone, we are no longer printing albums and putting them on the coffee table in the house no more. You get what I'm saying? And little stuff like that make for big deals.
That's true, but I mean, that's a matter of preference. See, I think that because people take so many pictures now,
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get them printed out because it costs it, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's only like for I just had a
Right.
wedding, so we printed out some pictures, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not that expensive. It's less
Mm-hmm.
than a buck. It's still less than a buck. Something is less than a buck to print out,
Right.
but but it has to be intentional.
Right.
And when you
And that's the
taking
part.
and when you taking so many of them,
Mm-hmm.
if you got 5 people there and everybody snapping, then none of the pictures are unique.
Yeah.
Because everybody was there capturing the same moments. So it's like, don't you have it?
Yeah. But even just to the intentional part that you said, I get where you coming from with your statement. But I took it as far as like being intentional, just taking your time to go and print them off, like however whoever used to do it when they were intentional creating them photo albums at the house. You get what I'm saying? Like I just think that what I'm speaking of right now might not ruffle a lot of feathers because people don't think about it. But I genuinely sit down some days after I get done rolling up my good old greenery, and then I sit back and I think about life and where I've been and where I'm going, and I be like, damn, I know my grandmother done seen some stuff because I'm already seeing, and it's like, wow, like I don't even know how to feel about it. I don't want to feel mad or upset because I don't want to not grow. I don't want to become that person that we, what I'm saying, see this stuck in their ways. We don't want to not elevate. We don't want to, what I'm saying? Like, what on the same, it's just such a hard pill for me to swallow sometimes. And I just see the direction of things going, it's like, it's unraveling before our eyes. Let's start blowing out these little fires that's about to burn us up around here, is what I feel like. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Let's go ahead and get to this last question. Can love truly be unconditional, or are there always underlying costs? What you think? Can
Well,
love truly be unconditional, or are there always underlying costs?
okay, so I feel like that question it's a two-part answer to that. The first part is, do I feel like love can be truly unconditional? Yeah. I feel like I've loved somebody. I feel like I love a individual in my life right now that cannot do a damn thing for me on any conditional terms, even if I wrote it out in crayon on paper. But at the end of the day, I still just love that individual for whatever reason it is. Is it because of what they done for me in my life? Is it because of an experience we've had together? Is it because of maybe I feel so entrapped into their what happened into their life? I couldn't even remove the emotion that I have for them because I know what happened to them. Like, who knows? But love can be unconditional. But the second part of that question, put that back up there for me again. I want to make sure I get this right. Or are there always underlying cause? Now, here I go answering it this way when I just said what I said. Yeah, as bad as you might want it to be pure and raw, it could always, something can happen that can cause it to blow up, or yes is the answer. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that the only way that love can be unconditional is through family. I think that's the only unconditional love. I think that there's always a cost because the costs are associated with how you're treated, how when we find people, okay, when we go out here and you find somebody that you're gonna be with or that you interested in, then if they're not treating you the way you want to be treated, if you're not like you was talking about earlier, like how people can be married and then they decide, okay, well, it's too expensive for us to get a divorce because based on whatever has happened, this person gonna get the kids, this person gonna have to do this, and we still got to pay for this and pay for that and pay for this stuff. So they say, okay, well, you know what? They're gonna be amicable about it and say, you know what? We're really in this for the children. All right. So To me, that is where there's a condition because they no longer like each other.
Right.
You know, that's not to say that they don't love each other. They love each other enough to sacrifice their dislike for each other for the child, for the well being of the
Mhm.
child or the
Mhm.
children.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's where you see the maturity at.
Mhm.
All right. But clearly they don't like each other,
Right.
So that is the cost. I sacrificed the fact that I no longer like this person
Mhm.
to be able to provide and make sure that our children aren't affected by my dislike for a choice
For a
that I
child.
made,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? So
Mhm.
that is when you see maturity and accountability presenting itself.
Mhm. Mhm.
In any other scenario, it's still, to me, it's still the same thing. There is a cost because there is a requirement. If something isn't going the way you aren't happy, you
Mhm.
know, you don't like the person anymore. All these things are synonymous with each other. You don't. You're tired of dealing with lies or infidelity
Mm.
or deception or people. Some people lie for no reason. They just
No reason.
habitual liars. They
Mm.
just like to be telling a lie all the fucking time. For no real reason, just because the truth bothers them.
And like
You
you just
know.
said, to look up habitual, y'all, and look up pathological. There's two separate things. They getting all the knowledge tonight.
So you have people that fit that have those characteristics, and those are cost.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you can say, I don't want to pay that cost.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying for that. That's not. I didn't come here to buy that.
Right.
You know, but unconditional, in my opinion, for me, the only unconditional love I have is for people who I got the same blood as.
Mm-hmm. I
That's
could
it.
I could see
I
why
don't I don't have no unconditional love
for no
for
stranger.
nobody else. No.
So that
Now I love my wife to infinity plus 2 days.
right.
But I'm sure if I conducted myself a certain
Certain
way,
way she get a radio ass.
she gonna get rid of me, you
Yeah.
know,
As she should, because she
as
would
she
need to
should.
protect, yeah, as she needs to protect, and vice versa, the same things that you would need. But I'm just sitting here and I know what you saying is right as far as why and how, as far as nobody but family. But I got somebody in my mind right now that is not my blood and my family, and this person as well, and they're in my they share my space with me, and I don't feel like that. I know that they're not family, but I know that I have unconditional love for them too as well. So I get what you saying and I understand it. But this is why it's always so funny when it gets to us, because it always seems like it's just this one little something that we agree, and then it's this switch at the end where I'll be like, I'm gonna just go off and take this path. And that's the path, the one that you said I need to work on. Remember we
No,
talked about that before.
no, 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 because I know who you talk about, but I look at that person like family too,
Right,
you know? So like I call that person uncle,
right.
you know?
But they not
So
though. That's the point. But they not.
but they not though, but they put in significant work to be respected as such,
Right. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So you value that. And that's what I'm talking about where like some people can be taken in, but did they do the work?
Mm-hmm.
Did they do the work to have that unconditional love, to have that place in your heart where you're like, you know what, man, I really care for you, and I want to make sure you okay,
Mm-hmm.
because you've done that for me when you
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to
Yep.
at all,
Exactly. That's the number one reason why.
you know. So like I understand that. I understand that, family. Like it's just one of them things where but you have to be mature enough to know that, some people think that you owe them some shit. Some people think, so many people are just non-genuine. So many people just, you know, think you owe them something or
Mm-hmm.
feel entitled to some shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they ain't did nothing. They
Mm-hmm.
ain't put in no type of work. They ain't built up no type of rapport. They
Mm-hmm.
ain't did shit.
Mm-hmm.
But then they feel like they owed something or, and I always say, man, like I won't even give somebody my ass to kiss once I'm done with you.
Mm-hmm. You do
You
say
know?
that.
For real. Like I don't have no fucks for you or nothing. I won't even give you my ass to kiss. Like you mean nothing.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah.
You ain't in control of shit over what I got going on. You don't
Mm-hmm.
affect nothing I got going on. I wouldn't allow you to. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't allow you to think that you do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's how
Mm-hmm.
that's how that's how beneath me you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I used to say, nah, we ain't above it, we ain't beneath it, we on something different. I'm still on that too.
Right.
I'm
Right.
still on that too. But when people be trying to
Mm-hmm.
be, nah, I gotta let you. You gotta get checked
Yeah.
every single time.
Mm-hmm. Every
Every
single
single
time.
single time. Yeah, get a
Yeah.
life.
Yep.
Get a
Yeah.
fucking life for
So
real.
definitely shit is coming with conditions around here.
It's always because only unconditional love can be reserved for people who show you the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. And some people often make that we've seen plenty of people make that um dying pivotal decision to continue to do something unconditional for one and then not be reciprocated on their end. We've seen the outcome of that, what that looks like.
That's it. And most of the time, the only people who are going to do that, the only people who are going to tolerate
Mm-hmm.
your inconsistencies or your lack thereof are people
Right.
who have the same blood as you.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Unless somebody takes you on and takes the responsibility of you, that's the only way. And most of the time that happens because of a child or something like that.
Yeah.
It don't happen. No, the majority of the time it's no other way unless there is some type of connection, like what we talking about.
Mm-hmm.
What we talking about with Unc, where
Yeah.
but they done put in work, but they done took care of you.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so it's only right that that we make things right, and that's love. Like that's where that is real love at when you have that
And I'm gonna
deep
close it out.
down.
I'm right. I'm gonna close it out on this too. And if you really look at yourself and if you really are aware and in tune with yourself, there's certain times and points in life where you're not pleased with yourself if you got any type of standard or regards. Like there's sometimes like I'm in life, I'm like, dang, I ain't been doing right by my diet. I've been drinking a lot of caffeine soda juices and not enough water, or like, dang, I've been working this job for like this is a hypothetical example. I'm giving 3 years and I know I said I was only supposed to be here for a year and a half and I ain't mapped myself out right. So what I'm getting at is that if you have the ability to critique and be hard on yourself and set standards or beat up yourself per se for things that you fall short on, like it would be unimaginable love for other people. I mean, that you have unconditional love for other people. Like it is very conditional. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
very conditional. Um, and that's just the bottom line of it. You need to be conditional on yourself. You need to not just be
yeah.
letting stuff slide on yourself. So if that
Critical of yourself.
exactly. I mean, not
Critical of
so bad
yourself.
where you're beating and breaking yourself down because you need to be the same one lifting yourself up. But if you know that you have critiqued yourself before because you weren't treating yourself the best, why would you let somebody else get away with the condition that allowed them to not treat you right? Like, like
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Unless you don't value yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
you know? And we know people deal with self-esteem, mental illness,
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of, you know, issues and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
but definitely what you said, Billy Badass Joe, you know, letting them know that you have to be the biggest critic of yourself first,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and not be scared to look in that mirror and say, I don't like what I see, so I'm going to do something different. And that's
Mm-hmm.
all it takes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make a plan and you execute that shit
Exactly.
and reach your goal. And don't think that you failing because you didn't reach your goal yet. You learning. You ain't failed. If you don't start, then you a failure.
Failure. Right. I agree. Yep.
But you learning along the way. And you learning what not to do to reach it.
Mm-hmm. You right
You
about
know, you
that.
getting sharper along the way.
Yep.
You know, and if that becomes the mindset, then anything that you put your mind to, you know, that shit sound cliche, but anything that you want to get accomplished, you're gonna get it done because you're gonna figure out how to
Yeah.
do it.
You'll
You
figure. Yep.
know, from the smallest things to the largest things.
Yep. And it is so rewarding once you get things figured out.
Trying to tell you, learning is
Mm-hmm.
fundamental, fun to
Mm-hmm.
mental.
Yes. For real.
You know,
Exciting.
but people like being dumb though.
Accomplishing. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but that's definitely unconditionally love yourself too. You know, unselfishly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, a selfish love of yourself is thinking that everybody's supposed to conform to what your shit is.
Right. Exactly.
Thinking that rules don't apply to you, thinking that, you know, the world revolve around you. Like it
Right.
don't. You gotta share this space with some other people.
And then them underlying costs that they talking about too, y'all better be making sure y'all saving y'all receipts because people might want refunds on them. Huh.
I'm trying to tell you, if they cutting SNAP benefits, so you definitely better be saving the Reese cups, recycling bottles, and some
I'm
more
telling you.
stuff. And some more stuff. But look, y'all, we have been letting our love speak tonight, and we had 5 questions, y'all. Is love free? What are some ways that love can cost, and why? Has modern society turned love into a financial transaction? Is the cost of love higher for men or women in today's world? And can love truly be unconditional, or are there always underlying costs?
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you think and let your love speak in the comments section. We want to thank everybody for pulling up this evening. Make sure that y'all smash that liggity like button and leave some comments, y'all. You know, we respond to the comments. We like to hear what y'all think. Just go check out the conversation, you know, and leave some feedback and help us get in the algorithm and all that good stuff, and also share the content. We appreciate y'all. We're gonna pull up again. Tonight's conversation was the cost of love. And I'm Chef Earl Pearl at DBCHEFTV, always with the baddest of the baddies, Billy Badass Joe. And we want y'all to have a peaceful, positive, and productive weekend, because it's the weekend eve.
It is the weekend eve.
It's the weekend eve, you know.
Yes.
So everybody be blessed and be your best. And we gonna see y'all next time when it go down right here on the Love Speak.
All right, y'all. Good night.
Peace.
This whole publication is all about going from nowhere to somewhere, right? Being able to stand on something so that you can travel in peace, right? So bksoulfarm.com, 1016 160 self-sustainability. Jump on the list and get yourself together, right? Because it is irresponsible to not even know what responsibility means. So get yourself together, food, clothing, and shelter, protection of that, support your interests, and live.
Some say that art imitates life, but we say that life is art. So visit the DBCHEFTV gift shop and get 15% off of your next masterpiece of fashion. How do you get there? Simply tap the link in the description. At the Veteran Kettle Podcast, we thank you for your service, support, and sacrifice to our country. Listen to real stories of adversity and triumph as we give our best to honor our vets. Subscribe today and watch episodes now streaming on YouTube at TVK Podcasts, The Veteran Kettle. If it's Friday night and you don't have a date, then brunch with the fellas is your spot, so don't be late. We go up at 9 p.m. with the trending topic news. Smash the like, comment, subscribe, and share the content. Don't be rude at Brunch Fellas, now streaming on YouTube. Love ain't always easy, and we won't stop until we get it right. So bring that ass to the Love Speak Podcast. Subscribe today and let your love speak at TLS Podcast. The Love Speak, now streaming on YouTube. Exchange insights Sundays at 8 p.m. East Coast time with the Cigar Panel, smoking on words like two big nerds, hosted by DBCHEFTV and BK Soul Farm at Cigar Sundays on YouTube. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so when they go live, you never miss an episode of Cigar Sundays Live. Sign up for the newsletter and shop merch and clothing at www.dbcheftv.com.